that new facility. The other thing we spent a lot of time discussing, and this was with the input of John Triska and Stephen Kaufman and Stacy Emery, all the key administrators at these schools, as to what does this mean and how can we move forward in terms of our original plan of having fourth graders on the Tierra Linda campus at the beginning of the 17-18 school year. First of all, just in terms of kind of that assumption and those thoughts, we have a lot of things we're planning at the Arundel and Heather elementary schools, getting them ready for a TK3 school environment, much like we did with Britton Acres and White Oaks. We have obviously staff involved in that and teacher assignments, new classroom configuration for those schools. And I think just kind of the general discussions and communications we've had over the last few years about the opening of this 4-5 school in 17-18 and keeping to those plans. And I think one of the other things too that we were very sensitive to and concerned about was the reaction and the sense of, well, okay, is the transition of bringing kids in at the beginning of the year and moving them again versus staying at their existing school for a full year, how does all that kind of translate to everybody? And I think a lot of it too, and Carol, you and I have had experience with this at White Oaks. I think parents tend to be a little more difficult or have a harder time with transition and change than kids do. I think we kind of view it in terms of maybe how this really kind of upsets our environment, our system, kind of maybe the natural flow of things. Whereas I think certainly what I've seen from experience, and I know Craig and John can talk about this more thoroughly, is that kids tend to be fairly adaptable. And we believe that actually this is a relatively small amount of time in terms of the transition. And the thought is that what we would do is set up the fourth grade class coming in and be temporarily housed in the new Tierra Linda Learning Commons, which will be done by summer, and also the library. Now, there's a lot of details to be worked out in that. And again, Stacy and John and Stephen, myself, Craig, are really starting to work through all the mechanics of that, of kind of how we plot this all out, how we make these moves, how we make this all happen. But this is our recommendation, what we think makes the most sense with this delay that we're faced with.
So maybe this is a good time for me and John to say a few things about this structure. So first of all, I want to clarify why we're talking fourth grade and why not 4 or 5, right? The reality is no matter what plan you do, the fifth grades in this time would be in the very rooms where the current fifth grade teachers are for Tierra Linda. So the real change, right, because those fourth graders are going to become fifth graders no matter what. So in the end, it was how, from our perspective, we really wanted to protect the integrity of the notion of a community of kids starting a new school, fourth and fifth graders together from day one. And could we make that happen? Because when we looked at all the other machinations of things, there were so many complexities of impact. In fact, we have teachers who will be going to teach at that school who don't teach in one of the schools that are affected, which means they're teaching over at BA, kids that they're, how does that, it just doesn't even work, right? It became really crazy to try to figure it out. And in the end, we thought the kids are going to love this. We are going to, so we're creating at the library, new learning commons, and where the fifth grade classes are, which are all connected by this quad, or what do we call that, the patio area through there, they actually have a community together during this 1, 2, 3 months, depending on how long it really takes to get this job done. And it really felt best, especially for the kids who have been going through the last year and a half working with Mr. Triska on the excitement of this. So to just say, hey, we've decided we're going to wait a year or wait, and with all the other things we'd have to do, it just didn't seem to make sense. And we actually feel, I just want to be clear, we feel very certain that we will create a fabulous learning environment, push on the whole collaboration model that we want to do, because they will have to collaborate in these environments, which is what we want our teachers and students to be doing. John, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
I mean, I think you just.
John, could you
just
come up,
wanna-
Mr. Triska?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Krista.
You know, really, I think